What up, Batman fans? I'm Tommy from Z&D Comics, and today I'll be discussing the Batman Arkham Knight comic that will be shortly coming out, probably before the game's release date. But the reason I know this is because the Arkham Knight Collector's Editions, yes, I said editions because there are two, just have been revealed today, and they show that issue number 0, a limited edition copy, will be coming out in both of those collector's editions, or limited editions, whatever you want to call them. But today I just want to go a little bit in depth. I noticed a few things about the comic book cover, which you're looking at the screen right now, and a few things I can find out, about the comic just from looking at the cover. So first things first is that you can see you got a beautiful picture of Batman and Arkham Knight, and of course the Batmobile and everything. It looks very Arkham Knight-ish. It looks great, by the way. But the first thing I noticed is that I see Arkham Knight. Now, I'm not trying to say that just because the Arkham Knight is on the cover that the fact that this means that this comic isn't a prequel. Because Batman didn't mean Arkham Knight until the video game comes out. Like, when you play the video game itself, the first, I guess, like 10 minutes of the game, or at least I would say half an hour of the game, you're going to run into the Arkham Knight for the first time. So that means this can't be a prequel comic with Batman and the Arkham Knight if, they're in the comic, because that would have to be after the game or during the game. So my guess is that it is going to be a prequel comic, and we're just going to find out the history of the Arkham Knight before, but we're not ever going to actually see Batman and the Arkham Knight in the comic together unless they, do like sort of what Injustice did with like a year 2 where they get the story placed after. So let me just guess, or give you a little pitch on what I think this comic is going to be like. So you get the issue 0 in the limited edition. It's probably just, issue 0. Some issues start out with 1, some start out with 0. So my guess is that it's going to start as a prequel. We're going to see exactly what Batman is doing before the Arkham Knight events. And my guess is it's not going to be like, for instance, the Arkham City comic, which was, between Asylum and City. I think it's going to start like weeks or days before the Arkham Knight event. I don't think they're really going to dive into what happened. I would like for them to do that because, of course, the Joker died. Big things happened. There must have been big changes. But my guess is that it's only going to be a week before, and we're going to find a lot about the Arkham Knight, a lot of history about him, his connections with Scarecrow, everything like that. So I feel like reading this is going to be important if you want to get more, into the video game as you're actually playing it. You're like, wow, I read that in the comic book. That's amazing, So my guess that it's going to be a prequel. A few weeks before, we're going to see the history of the Arkham Knight a little bit more, the history of Scarecrow a little bit more, and maybe we can see the Batman family characters and what they were doing before the events of the Arkham Knight. For instance, Red Hood. We can see, right before the events of Arkham Knight, right before the city went in chaos, what was Red Hood doing? What was Batgirl? What was Batwing? What was Batmite? They're not going to have Batmite, I'm just messing with you, but, what were they doing? And, maybe that question can be answered in the comic book. So, what I really hope that they do, this is a new topic, I hope they go from prequel to during the game itself, then to after the game. So, sort of like what Injustice did. Injustice was a great comic, Injustice had Injustice, which was like sort of like a prequel, and then they had the Injustice Year 2, which was after the game, and now they're going to do Injustice Year 3, if you didn't know. That's coming out in November. So, this comic's doing fantastic. We're probably going to be seeing these Injustice comics for a very long time because, Injustice 2 is coming out. And that's what I kind of hope they're going to do with the Batman Arkham Knight comic, because this is the last game in the series. There's no more Batman games after this. So doing, keeping the series going, and then going after the games, after, like, doing a storytelling in a comic book form after the game makes sense. Of course, they didn't do that for City, because this is what we're getting. We're getting a prequel between City and Arkham Knight. Because Arkham Knight is the last game in the series, they kind of have the opportunity to make this comic, like, before, during, and after the game. So I hope that during the game we can get maybe what was like, for instance, let's say we're not going to know. We only know the Batman's point of view during the game, unless you're going to get, pre-order the game and play as Red Hood and Harley Quinn. So maybe we can get a storyline in the comic where we can get a view of what Oracle was doing when we didn't really get to see what she was doing in the game, or what other characters were doing when we just, didn't get to play as them. So that would be also really interesting. I hope they do different storylines in this comic. I hope they make it more, you know, intrigued, more complex, but they're probably not because it's a digital comic. It's going to come out, you know, once a week, and then you could probably pick up a 4-issue combo pack every month at your comic book store. What I'll be doing is reviewing every one digitally, like I'm doing with the Arrow and Flash comics. So anyway, I just hope they do that. You know, I really don't know if they'll do an after comic, for instance, like what happens after the game, because it's the last game, so it's going to be obviously a huge, big ending. So I don't know if they'll do that, but I don't think Rocksteady is done with these, you know, DC games. I feel like they're going to be doing a Superman / Justice League game in the future, so they might, you know, hint that in the comic after the game is released for like a few months, you know. So that would be pretty awesome, you know. I'm just saying. And I want to comment on one thing. A few days ago, I was reading a comment. I forget what video it was on. I think it was my Batman Arkham Knight talk, the city walkthrough I'm doing on Twitch, which, by the way, you should all check out. Someone commented, they were like, I don't think you should want to keep on talking about Superman in the game, you know, I feel like you don't, they were kind of criticizing me, saying like I don't really understand how the Arkham games are felt. Now, that's the thing about comic books and everything. Things, like, they can mix things together. For instance, like, when you think of the Avengers movie, did you ever think that Iron Man, the first Iron Man, would ever connect to something like Guardians of the Galaxy? No. Now, I'm not trying to base the Arkhamverse to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm just trying to say that Superman and Justice League can absolutely fit in the Arkhamverse. For instance, we've seen tons of little Easter eggs relating to Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Superman, like Firestorm. Unbelievable amount of Easter eggs. So obviously they're in the universe. Absolutely. There's no Metropolis without Superman, and they know that. So they wouldn't say, oh, 30 miles to Metropolis if there was no Superman. So there is a Superman. Don't get me wrong on that one, because I know I'm right. So what I'm trying to say here is that Superman can be in the game. He's probably not going to be in the game. He'll probably be in like the comic, and they're going to make a game after this, without a doubt. It could be Batman Beyond, or it could be Superman. But maybe in the after credits, just like how we saw Deathstroke and Amanda Waller, we can get a small hint of Superman. That's all I'm trying to say, you know? It is possible. Now, that's a little bit off topic, but anyway, those were my thoughts on the comic book. Like, what are yours? You know, what do you think this comic book is going to be about? Are you going to be picking it up digitally or at your comic book store? Just, you know, share your thoughts down below. Anyway, I'm Tommy from Z&D Comics. You just listened to me talk about Batman Arkham Knight, but I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. Know to comment, like, and subscribe, and
Ready, aim, fire.